The succubus queen was ready to help the eternal flame king, but even she was not able to understand what the monster would do, because the lady had already unleashed the crimson moon demon along with the abyssal fire spirit. And yet, our boy was still living, and was intact. Finally, the lady summoned a purple stone and told the Flame King that if he wanted to do something with the boy, he would have to do it alone. All the details which were found out about Lin were already craved onto the purple stone, so the succubus queen gave the Flame King the stone and immediately teleported away, telling the monster to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel along with you guys, or else you all would be missing the latest chapters. Eternal Flame King was looking at the purple crystal devilishly, while wondering about what he should do to his mortal enemy. As the scene shifts, we see that Lin had finally leveled up once again. He was now a level 35 necromancer with really high-level attributes and buffs. Even his golden tier skeletal warriors and golden tier skeletal mages were upgraded to level 35, getting stronger armor and shorter cooldowns for attacks along with shorter spell casting times and more vitality. Finally, it was the turn for the golden tier undead general, who had the Legion member capacity increased to 350, along with a high strength and agility. Looking at the progress, even Lin thought that he had lost the track of how long it had been since he entered the eternal trial battlefield, and even for him, the time was now a bit hazy. But our boy knew just one thing, that now he had only 4 levels left, and if he can't find the Dragon's Palace dungeon by level 39, he will have to head back home. But he wanted to do it before that, because it will greatly help him in changing his profession and making himself stronger. Our boy has started thinking that even when he had been leveling up at lightning speed, which I don't think is true, because for almost 25 chapters, he didn't level up at all. Anyways, the speed was slow compared to his sister, and it was like he was a snail who had been racing with a leopard. Lin was sure that his elder sister is just going to become the youngest legendary hero in the history of humanity. But all of a sudden, the forest behind Lin lit up with a blue light. It was just like the beacon which comes out when someone gets the origin rune. But Lin realized that it was of blue color, and the aura of Dragon Clan was coming out of it. Lin was completely shocked that he had actually found out the Dragon Palace dungeon. He immediately started running with insane speeds, going towards the beacon of light. But as soon as Lin arrived near the dungeon, he looked around and guessed that something was not right. Because whenever the Dragon Palace dungeon emerges, the heavens and earth danced with magic, luring the forces of the 3 clans to its mysterious allure. But right now, aside from sensing the aura of the Dragon Palace dungeon, there were no other species like the Dragon Clan professionals, or even the abyssal demons. Lin finally came to the conclusion that there are only 2 possibilities which were happening with the Dragon Palace dungeon, and the first one was that the dungeon was not yet fully formed, and the vision of heaven and earth have not yet appeared, and was not attracting any other species. And the second is that even when it looked like the Dragon Palace dungeon, it was not, and it was just an illusion. But suddenly, the portal of the dungeon appeared in front of Lin, and even our boy was surprised by this sudden opening, because just now, the dungeon was still forming something. It was really feeling a bit off to Lin now, but no matter what, he had to go and take a look first if it was a real or fake. As the scene shifts, we see that Lin came near the portal and used his detection magic to know about what the dungeon actually was, but there was a barrier outside the portal, protecting it from any kind of magic which can be cast upon, but Lin's spell was just too powerful for the barrier, and he came to know that it was not the dungeon he wanted, but it was instead the abyssal enclave. And as Lin looked on to the ground, he saw the dragon crystal, which was infused with the essence of dragons. And due to it, Lin was sensing the dragon's presence all over the portal. Finally, our boy realized that this dungeon was actually a trap, but it was a bit too late. As Lin turned around, he saw the one-eyed monster Eternal Flame King and came to know that it was him who trapped the boy all along. The monster started laughing devilishly, thinking that he had made some kind of achievement, telling Lin that he is now doomed for sure. However, Lin was as calm as ever, telling the king that he was quite confident on that day, but still, this was the upper realm and the eternal trail battlefield, and the Flame King can only send a mere projection there with less than 1/10 of its original strength. And even with a barrier working, there was no way that the Inferno King would be able to trap our boy inside this abyssal enclave. Even when our boy was smiling and everything, he was cautious from the inside, wondering about what the Flame King wanted to achieve this time. The Flame King was now enraged and was addressing Lin as a little creature who should savor his final moments to the fullest, because he will be erased, completely destined for utter oblivion. The king wanted to personally witness his descent into idiocy and his transformation into a complete fool from a genius. And then, the monster would watch our boy Lin as he was slain by his enemies. Even when Lin was not able to understand anything, he used his skeletal armor skill to protect himself. But all of a sudden, he noticed that the ground was completely covered with some kind of mysterious mist. He used his skeletal warriors to form a map inside his brain. He came to know that the barrier's reach was about 1 kilometer or so, but there were no monsters and only this mysterious mist present on the ground. Still, Lin was not able to decipher about the plans of the Flame King. He decided to escape and told the skeletal warriors to go and break through the barrier. Meanwhile, as he turned around, he saw that the skeletal armor was not reacting with the mist, which meant that it was harmless and non-toxic, entering inside the skeletal armor. But suddenly, it was as if a barrage of memories were entering inside the brains of our boy, and his head suddenly screaming from the inside. Lin felt a lot of pain and agony, not able to understand about what was going on. It felt to him like he was forgetting something, and suddenly he was teleported to a mysterious place, not able to understand what he was doing. He was feeling like a fish out of the water, and his memories have completely changed, telling him that he was now a student, about to prepare for his beginning. And suddenly the blondie friend which we saw on the first chapter appeared, telling Lin that it was his turn for waking up the profession. As our boy turned around, he saw the first ever waifu, who never appeared again. She was calling out to Lin as Dreamy, because even when the lady called him twice, he was not ready to listen. Finally, it was the professor of the high school who was standing on the teleportation ground, announcing that it was now the turn of our boy Lin. Not able to understand what was happening, Lin started to walk up onto the pedestal while wondering about why he was feeling like he had already switched careers. Just one thing was left into his mind, and that was that he had really forgotten something. And with that, this chapter comes to an end.